track.
Man, absolutely, man. I thank you guys for having me here, man. You guys are doing a great thing. Keep doing it. Don't let nobody tell you that you're not, because you are helping somebody, and you guys are creating a platform for God's people, man. So it's awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you a lot,
Yes,
man.
sir.
I mean,
and if I can do anything to help y'all, connect y'all with an artist or anything, I'll be glad to do it.
Okay.
Say no
more.
Say no more.
But thank you for taking your time to come on the show. Like we always say, you're welcome to come back anytime. We play your music every time we do a podcast, especially on the Tailgate Cruise Show.
Right.
We make sure your name and your music and word has been broadcast out there to the masses.
Man,
thank
you.
Go check him out too, man. You know, Torrance Rudd Boot Camp. Dude will work you out, and he will change his fat boy. Too. I need to get in contact with him for real, because I need to get some of this fat off me before I start walking down the aisle, being a groomsman at people's weddings and stuff. I got a couple weddings that I'm gonna be a part of, so I'm excited about that. So I need to, tighten up the old teddy bear.
I got you.
Well, thank you, Torrance Rudd, and we're looking forward to attending your album release concert next Friday, January the 17th, at the City Church in Opelika, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
We have the NFL divisional round coming up this Saturday and Sunday with 4 games, starting with Vikings and 49ers. They're kicking off at 4:35 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC, and the 49ers are favored by 7 points. The main event, what are your thoughts about the playoffs, and who do you see as the favorite, and who will be your dark horse that people not really talking much about?
When we talk about dark horses in the NFL, especially in these playoffs, nobody's talking about Seattle. Nobody's talking about any of those teams. And I do believe the Texans are right up there as well. Do I think that the Texans can pull an upset on Kansas City? No. But getting back to that first game that we're talking about, the 49ers and the Vikings, it all comes down to what quarterback you trust most, what running game you trust most. I don't trust Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins can't win the big games. I love what Jimmy G's done. I mean, the development that he's developed under Tom Brady, under Bill Belichick, and now he's under the new coach in that regime over in the Bay Area. It's taking him up another level, and for once he's healthy. So that in itself makes the 49ers that much of a better team. And then you got George who's catching balls. Tight ends. You got tight ends that you can depend on. You got Marquise Goodwin who you can throw the ball to on the deep routes. I mean, you got a lot of speed, and you got 2 good running backs that you can depend on as well. So the balance is there. Is a matter of pick your poison, whether you want Garoppolo's arm to kill you, or if you want the running game to murder you.
Well, I don't know about Jimmy G's arm. To me, he's still mediocre, but he is improving. 49ers live and die by that defense. That defense is great, and that's the reason why they are 13-3. But they do have a great tight end in George Kittle, and they do have a great running game. So with those factors and being the playoffs where everything is seen to be more intense and close, you have to have a great running game and a great defense. Vikings, they have both of those as well, but I see the 49ers overpowering them and probably covering that spread.
I'm looking at the home game. Home games at the big blue jeans. So I mean, I see the 49ers winning. I don't see them winning big like you've seen in the spreads.
Right.
but I do see them winning by at least a touchdown, maybe 10. You know, they may take the spread, but I don't see it being more than that at all. I mean, I just don't see it being more than that.
Okay. Well, let's go on to the next game that's coming right after that one. We have the mighty Tennessee Titans that knocked down and took out the defending champs and New England Patriots last week. They're going to take on the superstar and rising Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 10 points. You think they're going to cover the spread?
Yo, the Ravens, they do things so unconventional. They've taken it back to the old school kind of mentality in a sense. You know, if you think about it, because you look at the way Dan Reeves ran his offense when Michael Vick was there, and then you have a guy like Lamar Jackson who's got a much better arm than people think. He's got accuracy on all his passes. He can make touch throws. He can even make the long throws. Even though you don't see him throwing the long ball as much as you see anybody else throw it, what really is going to be the defining factor in that game is, can the Ravens secondary hold up against the Tennessee Titans and their receivers? The Tennessee Titans, they have the receiving core, but it's not as good as anybody else's. They're like middle of the road, I would say, in regards to receivers.
Yes.
So, and Derrick Henry is the X factor.
Ooh, man, that's a beast.
That's the X factor.
Give it to him, 40 carries.
And then you look at the defense for Tennessee. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna put a spy on Lamar Jackson? Or are they going to like try to shut down the running game with Mark Ingram and those guys? Are you gonna go after receivers and jam them at the line? I mean, there's so many factors that you gotta equip yourself and game plan against with that offense. And then the Ravens defense, I mean, it's not a signature defense, but it's a better defense than people think.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a nail biter. You have two physical teams that's going to be going at each other. So I do think the Ravens will want to win, but I don't think they're going to cover that 10-point spread.
I don't think so either. And then, you got the resurgence of Ryan Tannehill at Tennessee. Does this mean that Marcus Mariota is his time up at Tennessee? I don't necessarily think so, but at the same time, I think it might be time for a change for him, because if you think about Marcus Mariota and where he's come from, he's played for 4 different offensive coordinators since he's been at Tennessee. He's played for 3 different head coaches. So it may be a time to make a change for him. Is Chicago a likely destination for him, in free agency, since his rookie deal is up after this year? I mean, that's a big possibility.
Moving on to the Sunday slate of games, we have Houston taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's going to be a 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, and we have the Chiefs favored by 10. What are your thoughts about that one?
Man, I'm sorry, this Tyreek Hill's electric. You got a guy with a noodle arm in Patrick Mahomes.
Noodle arm.
I mean, all right, I can't even say that with a straight face.
Man, that's a former MVP there. Man.
I can't even say that with a straight face. I mean, because he got one of the strongest arms in the league. So,
right.
So you look at Mahomes, you look at that defense. That front 7 for Kansas City is probably one among the best front 7 in the league. That the secondary is a little bit suspect at times. They will give up the big play, but they are solid. So you look at the Texans, you look at what they have at the receiver, Fuller. I mean, the Clemson connection, between Hopkins and Deshaun Watson. I mean, and then you got a solid running game as well that nobody talks about. And then we don't talk about the accuracy that Deshaun Watson has and the game smarts that he has. I'm looking at this game as one of those games where, yeah, you could be on upset alert if you're Kansas City, but you're playing in Arrowhead and you're playing at home in one of the loudest venues in all of football. So
I agree with you. It's going to be pretty loud there, and it's that can have an effect on the play calling and even trying to audible out of certain plays too.
right, and then and I took the little silence there because it's hard to pick a game like this, especially when you got a great defense going up against a great offense with Kansas City going up against Houston. Is J.J. Watt going to be the same J.J. Watt that he was in that wild card game? That's the big X factor for Houston at this point. And is Patrick Mahomes healthy enough to run the ball? Is he healthy enough to throw the ball all over the yard? Does his running game help him out? I mean, those are things that we need to answer, and we need to answer as well. It's going to be a high scoring game. It's going to be high scoring. But do I think that Houston covers the spread, or do I think Kansas City pushes the spread farther? I'm gonna take that as a pick 'em at this point.
The last game of the weekend is Seattle versus Green Bay. 5-point favorite goes to the Packers. Who are you taking?
Oh. I'm going to go with the Marshawn factor. He looked good. He looked good. He looked good in that playoff game. He also looked good in week 17. I think if you give him more carries, I think you give him 10 to 15 carries. I think he's going to take over that game. I think that's going to give Russell Wilson the security blanket. I think that's going to help that defense a whole lot. But we cannot look past what Aaron Rodgers has done and what this first year head coach has done. I mean, you can't look past that at all. You're playing Lambeau. I mean, once again, one of the loudest venues in the league, one of the best venues in the league.
I agree.
And am I going to pick against Green Bay? Yes. I mean, I'm willing to, but they're playing at home. They're playing a Seattle team that is riddled with injuries, and that's the thing that we need to, that I'm worried about mostly. And the other thing I'm worried about is, can Marshawn Lynch handle the rigors of a professional football game? He's done it over 2 games so far, but he hasn't did the work that he normally does. So right. I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, he's going to get more carries this game. That's what Pete Carroll was talking about earlier this week during a press conference. So I do see that game being very close as well. But like you said, Lambeau Field, the Bears have many nightmares there. Being a Bear fan, we see it once a year. But in the playoffs, it just seemed like the ghost of Vince Lombardi shows up and it just takes over that stadium. And it's hard to beat Green Bay in the playoff game. But I'm taking Green Bay on that.
And why are we talking about Vince Lombardi? Why come we can't talk about the Rawlers himself, Mike Holmgren? I mean, he got the better.
That's the house Vince built, so we're gonna.
You got a point there. I mean, I can't even disagree with you on that one. But I think this one can be on high upset alert. Pete Carroll's always got something up his sleeve defensively. What he can do offensively is yet to be seen. I hate to pick Green Bay, but I think I will have to pick Green Bay. It's going to be a field goal game. I mean, low scoring. It's going to be one of those in the cold, 3 yards in the cloud of air. Because there ain't going to be no dust. It's going to be a whole bunch of cold air.
Frozen tundra.
And I think the temperature is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, I think the temperature is going to be in the 20s, in the 30s, 40s for that game. So, I mean, I can't see it any other way.